Hey guys, Joshua Gadamu here with another custom Gundam MSIA tutorial. And we've learned a lot of things so far. But now it's time for something that is incredibly helpful to the custom action figure community. Epoxy putty. Yeah, have you ever been building something and you're like, man, if only I had the ability to put plastic here, or to mold plastic, or shape plastic. And so, you know, I did a lot of looking. I found something at Walmart called plumber's putty. Don't use that. Do not use it. Bad. It worked for a while, but man, I found something so much better. It's really fairly cheap. You can get it from any mini wargaming store, but I found it fairly cheap on eBay. And there's different variations of this, different, you know, basically the idea is there's two compounds, A and B, and you mix them and you get a liquid plastic that hardens. I recommend Kneadatite, aka the green stuff. Comes in blue and yellow, and you mix it, and it's kind of like sticky tack, only different. Anyways, what you mix it, and then it hardens slowly, and so it's very shapeable. You got a good amount of time to shape it. It's not liquidy. It can be a little overly sticky sometimes, just a smidge, but that means it sticks. That's good, and that's really, it's not that bad. It's barely, but I thought I'd mention it just because there have been times I'm like, no, stop sticking to my finger. But it's not terribly sticky. So here I got a little bit, probably more than I need. Not thinking, but oh well. I'll find something quick to use it on. So I'm just mixing it, and you mix it until it turns green. Now this is very helpful when you're gluing something, and there's overlay where, you know, there's gap between what you glued on the figure and the piece and the figure. You know, like I glued these boosters on here for the back of the dom, and where you see all this green stuff, there was a gap. It just didn't fit perfectly because the leg was rounded, you know, like my hand. And so being that it was rounded, it just didn't fit too well, so I filled that in with the epoxy putty. I cut off the dom's backpack. Don't mind this is just sticky tack for his thrusters, or his backpack, but there was gaps where his thrusters had been, so I filled that in with epoxy putty. The sides of the Zaku cannon backpack, I filled in with epoxy putty so that it wouldn't show those holes, because I have no need for them. On my Zaku tank, there's sticky tack here, but beneath the sticky tack there were holes, and so I filled that in with epoxy putty. So epoxy putty is really helpful for filling in your gaps. Maybe you cut too much, or you drilled a little too much in a hole, especially maybe you drilled a hole where you weren't supposed to, and you're like, ah! You know, or you need to shape your own legs or your own mobile suit skirt or something like that. This can also be used for shaping, and I'm not going to tutor you on that, but I'm telling you that you can. Something I need it for is my Zaku 2 here. See this hole? That's where the cable went. The Zaku 2 G-Type doesn't have cables, so he just has holes there. Well, we aren't supposed to have holes there. So I take some of this. And like I said, I made way too much, but at least you can see it in my video. And we're just going to apply that on there. And the closer you can get it to the amount you actually need, the less sanding you're going to have to do, which is important. You don't really want to spend all your time sanding. It slows down the whole painting process and everything. And so you just keep taking little dabs, and like I said, it gets a little sticky. And so you probably can't see that, but I am just filling in this hole. Take the excess, put it back in my bunch of it. I need to get my excess off here. I want this as flat as it can be. I'm going to use a tool to try and shape it. There. I filled in that hole. It will require minimal sanding, just minimal. So that's pretty good. I'm going to fill in the next one. trying to think up a need for the rest of this epoxy. See, I got too much on there, so take some off. Nice. So I've got that filled in. So when it's painted, everything will look great. And this isn't an action figure, but this is going to be my Xeon mobile suit hanger. It has, it was a CD case. It's got words here. Well, I can't have those words there. So what I'm going to be doing is filling that in with epoxy putty as well. And so epoxy putty, very many uses, very great tool. I will post the link to where you can get this stuff pretty cheap off eBay. It's where I got mine, and I found it to be, it came from the UK, but it shipped really fast. And shipping was pretty cheap too. So yeah, if you can find it elsewhere, you know, go ahead, but make sure it's the Kneadatite green stuff. That's important. So it's not the green stuff, it's not it. There's a lot of little knockoff brands and things like that, and you probably don't want those when you're putting so much time and effort into your figure. This is not something you can find at Walmart. The Walmart version is crap. Don't do it. So yeah, it pretty much covers our tutorial for Kneadatite. You can see I'm filling in the letters here. I'll sand them down before I paint this. And so yeah, Kneadatite, also known as green stuff. Highly recommend it. You can form, you know, heads, whatever you want to make out of this stuff, you could make. You really could. There's probably a way that you could mold your own weapons if you're really talented. It's all about your creativity and what you're willing to try and do. You know, mostly I use it to fill in holes on figures or gaps between my glue where I glued parts on. But like I said, multi-purpose. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Stay tuned for more.